And we're live. Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well on this Monday morning or Sunday evening, wherever you are in the world. So this morning I'm going to share with you guys some stuff like that I'm going through right now, like the major kind of three things that I'm going through at the moment. And I want to share this with you guys because it's an important part of our outer hustle. And the first thing I want to touch on is patience. Patience is so critical. Patience is such an important part of our outer hustle path because without it, we rush into things that are not necessarily good for us. We rush into things without doing the inner hustle, and we're not stepping sure-footedly. We're stepping just willy-nilly, and because we're rushing it, there's a lot of tripping, there's a lot of falling over and having to get back up again. And a lot of us get tired quickly if we're having to pick ourselves up off the floor repeatedly. So in this outer hustle path, we're trying to work out how we can have success in this life. And I'm talking about financial now. I'm talking about financial success, whatever that means to you, because that's a subjective thing. So I'm not going to go into what it means to you, because everyone that's watching this, whatever that means to you, for whatever reasons, this is what I'm talking about. So once we start to do the inner hustle work and we start quietening our mind and we start becoming clear about what we want to do, how we want to do it, and the life that we really want to live and who we want to be. Again, whatever that means to you watching. In that clarity, we start to move forward. And if we're rushing it, if there's no patience, then we're going to find that we're falling over all the time. We're tripping over all the time, and then we're having to pick ourselves up off the floor. Then maybe take another step or two, fall over again, get up again, take another step or two, fall over, get back up again. And this becomes exhausting, this process of picking yourself up off the floor, standing up and continuing on, especially if there's a component to having to pick yourself up off the floor repeatedly over and over and over again, where you're in a confused state. So when we're doing this, powering forward, and we're in a confused state, this is what makes us tired. This is what gets us exhausted. This is what brings up the thought of wanting to throw in the towel. And that's the point usually where the brakes start coming on. Okay, because we're all human and nobody can continue just going on and on, picking themselves up off the floor repeatedly if this is happening too often. Because what will happen is that there are other things that come into play, especially for those of us that have got families, for those of us that have got partners, even for you young guys that are still living with your parents. It starts to affect the people around us. And that's why patience is so important, because this is going to bleed into the next point that I'm going to get to, okay, which is relationships. Now, when you start putting all of this together, it clarifies what's going on, and it's going to help in taking these steps forward. Thanks so much for the thumbs up and the hearts, guys. I really appreciate it. So take the time to be patient. Don't rush things. Don't step forward just for the sake of stepping forward because you think that is what you have to do to make yourself feel better. Okay, there's a lot of pressure out there in the world today in as far as outer hustle to just do shit. You know, oh, you've got to be in action, you've got to be moving, which there's some truth to. I'm not saying that that's not right. But like a lot of things, you can't just take it on board as being the be-all and end-all, because it's a very linear, one-dimensional concept. Okay, there's no use moving for the sake of moving. You'll tire yourself out, especially if you're going around in circles. So this point of patience is so critical. I'm finding it personally with myself since, even in the lead up to launching the Awakening Point, I've embraced patience as such an important part of my life, because in being patient, even though that word doesn't signify things that are really, really exciting, okay, it kind of sounds boring, but man, it's not. It's not. As soon as you start engaging in being patient, like not trying to do things that show that you're patient, but really being patient, this is going to really open up a lot of stuff inside you. Because as you start to settle down and try to work out what's really going on with you and where you want to go, a lot of shit's going to start bubbling up straight away, and that can be scary. So you're gonna want to move away from that. The urge is going to come to run forward, to get away from it, show everyone, oh no, I'm cool, there's nothing wrong with me, and you get into motion like everything's fine, guys, yeah, I'm ripping it up, everything's great. Or you'll start to retreat. Whoa, shit, what's this? So that bubbling stuff, don't be afraid of it. It's awesome. That stuff that's bubbling up and the emotion that comes with it, even if it's strong, negative emotion, that's telling you exactly where you need to do the work. It's telling you where to step. That's the path becoming clear to you. So that's so important. And in being patient, you're allowing the truth to come out. You don't need to interpret it intellectually. You don't need to how we all get stuck overthinking stuff, and it's like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm so confused. What's right? What's wrong? Who's right in giving me this opinion or that opinion? What do I do? Where do I go? And the whole time you're just chasing your tail, or worse still, like just going willy-nilly everywhere in a completely confused state. So being patient will allow the truth to come out, and the emotional side, feeling never lies. It is what it is. It just, when it boils up, that is the truth. So it's only when the intellect steps in, it tries to justify shit, it tries to make excuses, it tries to spin. The spin doctors come in and start trying to make it easy for you. You start trying to look for the easy way out, the shortcut, oh no, it's okay, I'll be fine, I'll leave that for another week or whatever, all this stuff. Okay, we all know what that is. So if you just stay with that emotional state as they come up, keep an open mind with it. Stay open, be patient, and absorb it. Let yourself see yourself. This is so empowering. That's personal growth. It's not an intellectual process. It's what's going on when those emotions are coming up and you're sitting with that and going, yeah, man, this is me. Wow, okay, I can see what I've got to do here. It starts to make sense, and you start sitting in your throne of power. You start to unleash the potential that you have. And by sitting with your emotion, you are fitting into that potential that you have. You're opening doors. You're changing the way that you perceive the data, that you're creating new information in the way that you're giving it meaning, because you're understanding what's going on with you. You're accepting yourself. You're not judging yourself. You're seeing where the real work is. And you can't do that if you're not allowing yourself the patience to just take it slow. Don't rush this. This process is going to change your life. For you guys that are out there, in the startup phase of businesses, or, there's some of you that are online now that have got very successful businesses as well, taking things to the next level. The business is just a reflection of you. So by you having the patience to get your inner hustle shit in order, as you do that, trust me, you're going to materialize things in a totally new way, in a way that you didn't think was capable before. And that brings me now to our next point. By being patient and allowing these emotions to come up and show your truth, and you having the guts, having the heart, the spine, the courage to let yourself show your true self in that vulnerability, there's strength. And you will start to feel comfortable in your skin, be more confident in yourself with with your vulnerabilities. That's strength. That will give you the confidence to step forward confidently. So everything that we're doing in this process affects the people that are around us, whether it's our family members, whether it's our children, you know, our spouses, our partners, our staff in business, or our colleagues at work. You know, relationship and the interaction of relationship, this is the sacred ground of personal growth. Nothing is going to test you. Nothing is going to put you in a situation that is going to demand that you respond truthfully than in relationships. The potential for personal growth is massive in relationships because, of course, there are other people doing their own thing. It's not you. You can't control it, and they've got their own view. They've got their own experiences. And they're feeding that back to you as you're interacting with them. And a lot of time, you're not going to like what's going on there. But in you exercising the patience to be open to what they're saying, where they're coming from, to accept them in their journey, you are exercising some real powerful shit there, and you are growing. That is going to help you immensely. And the more you do that each day, it may seem like it's not important. It may seem trivial. Trust me, man, it's not. It's not trivial. It's so deep. You will grow. Oh, man. In just accepting people, you already will attract so many people to you, because you and I know how good it feels to be in the presence of someone who's accepting, who's non-judgmental. You know, wow, it just feels so great. So by you becoming this person, you are attracting to you opportunity. You're attracting the right kind of people. You're rubbing off on even the wrong kind of people, and maybe inspiring them in their own time, in their own place, to start down that journey for themselves, you know, when they're ready. And as you're doing this, you know, one thing melds into the other. So, you know, as you're being patient with yourself, you start to become patient with others. You start to affect the relationships that you have in a positive way, and you start to grow, because personal growth is a byproduct of you doing this inner hustle. And the proportion of effort and focus and intent that you have on doing this inner hustle will translate automatically into clarity. As you're reducing your own entropy, okay, you're becoming more clear. Your mind and your heart, it's more organized. So it's not such a struggle. You're not so confused. You start stepping naturally and authentically forward in your direction, almost like you're on a current, you're in a river and it's flowing. You don't feel like you're having to like fight for every step forward. It just starts to like flow, because you're falling into rhythm with the human condition and the reason why we're here. And everybody has a need to be loved. Everybody feels that emotion is so powerful. It's just that we're all so confused about it that the intellect wants to step in and confuse the issue. So as we're growing within ourselves, we are also growing the depth of the relationships that we have with others. And you may be a person that has wide reach with your relationships, like having lots, and that's excellent for networking, but you also want depth in those relationships, and this is how you get the depth. You know, you allow it. You create an environment where you allow these relationships to be nurtured and to bring that dimension of depth and authenticity into it. So within your outer hustle path, as you're doing this, it then all bleeds into the third aspect, which is knowing versus belief. Okay, there's this common thing that goes on where people are like, believe in yourself, you know, yeah, come on, like believe in yourself, do it. And they mean so well, but the concept of belief in itself denotes that a person doesn't know about what it is that they're engaging with, that's why they're believing, because they don't know. It's like, I don't know, so I'll believe them, you know? And that step can create a trap. It can create confusion. And you don't want to be stuck in these types of traps. So you want to transition from believing to knowing. This is where being patient is important. You need to know yourself. Don't believe in yourself, because that's just like rah-rah stuff. That's just like running forward without knowing what's going on, knowing who you are, knowing, you know, where you're stuck, and being clear about that. And you might say right now, well, I don't know who the hell I am. That is knowing. Okay? You don't know who the hell you are. That's the first step. Boom. You've just empowered yourself incredibly. Sit with that. Be patient with it. Express, you know, patience with yourself in a nurturing way. Let the emotions bubble up. Let the work show itself that you need to like attend to. And in doing that, you're already now knowing yourself, so you can step forward with confidence in your own life. These three things of patience, relationship, and knowing yourself versus believing meld together. And as you start melding that together and opening your heart, you know, having the courage to just be yourself, be a loving being, you know, don't be so fear-based. And don't take your shit out on other people. Like, come from a love-based attitude. It will change your life. You know, this isn't woo-woo stuff. Like, this has transformed my life and my family's life. And now that I'm on a clear path to my outer hustle in, you know, growing the Awakening Point as a business, which I will be monetizing in due course, you know, I'm being patient with it. I'm not rushing into it. And yes, that brings pressures. It brings financial pressures because, you know, I was earning a hell of a lot more before than what I was now. But the Awakening Point is my truth, and it doesn't come easy. It's not easy to like align yourself with the truth. It's far easier to allow yourself to be stuck in beliefs. Okay, so I'm not saying that all this stuff is easy. It's not. It's simple, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of hard work on yourself, and it can be quite scary, especially when you're alone. It's easy to put on a face in front of other people to like, you know, I'm okay, everything's fine. But when you're alone, you can crash hard, you know, especially when you're just in the initial phases of aligning yourself with the truth, being patient, letting this stuff bubble up to the surface. So you're becoming aware of, you're getting acquainted with yourself. Wow, this is the real me. Hi, pleased to meet you. Whoa, I didn't realize you had so much baggage, man, you know? So that can be shocking. But if you're expressing patience, if you're coming from the right place and your intent is pure for the right reasons, then no problem. You will coast through this. You'll get to know yourself. In doing that, your heart will start to lead. You'll transition from being intellectually driven to being heart driven, where your intellect serves your heart. You'll be okay with being vulnerable. You'll be great with just being yourself, and that's going to start attracting the right kind of relationships to you. And in doing that, you'll start to know yourself and your path forward. All these three things will just start to manifest into positivity financially, relationship-wise. Your relationship with your wife, with your husband, with your kids will deepen because they will notice a difference. You know, it can't be anything else other than that. So, you know, don't worry about tripping over and falling. Don't worry about, if you're in a hard place right now, don't worry. Don't let that dominate you. Don't let that define you. There's no need. It's just part of your success. Everybody has to go through that initial jolt of turbulence before you get through the clouds into the blue sky. You know, it's a process to get up there. And yes, there's a lot of thrust. There's a lot of bumps, noises, you know, ups and downs and turbulence. It's part of it. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I've got a lot of people that have that have joined us. I got a little bit carried away there, so thanks to everyone that's tuned in. You guys, you guys have really helped me be comfortable in what I'm doing here as well. There was a lot of self-doubt there at the start, for the reason that for so long I've been in positions where like there's always been an angle to me communicating to people, and a lot of that has been sales based. So there's a lot of habits in there and patterns that I've had to look at, address, and let go of, because the future of business is heart business is the future. That's where productivity is heading now, for executives in business, for entrepreneurs, for everybody. The heart is the future. So that goes with training your staff. When you hire new staff, you communicate to your staff that part of the story of your business is that you're heart-centered, and that you communicate to your prospects, to your staff, to your superiors, to your customers and clients, to your suppliers, to anybody who comes in contact with that business. We communicate through the heart, and by setting a training program, something really so simple. And I'm in the process of building something like that. I'm in talks with a few companies about doing this as a sales process, as well as just communicating the story of the business, because that is so important for us entrepreneurs and for our managers. This stuff is not just woo-woo stuff. This is real personal growth for people personally, in their personal life, as well as it works just as well in business. These are universal truths, and by getting in line with these truths, we change, we manifest truth into our lives, and that's always a powerful thing. So enough of my ranting for the morning. Love you guys. Thank you so much for your support, for your well wishes, for your messages, online, offline. You really, really are helping me more than you can ever imagine. So I really appreciate it so much. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.